What's going on, y'all? And welcome to the channel. So today we got a giant size issue that I'm gonna cover, and it's from Dynamite Studios or Dynamite Comics. And this is like an anthology book. It has four different stories, four different characters. Um, some of these characters I know, like Red Sonja and Alan Quartermain from the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. And we got two other stories that I'm not too familiar with. We got Captain Gulliver Jones that goes to Mars, and we have another thing, Daughter of Draculon. I haven't heard of that before, but I'm gonna give this a shot. And when I come back, I'm gonna let y'all know what I thought about this giant size issue from Dynamite Comics. So I'll be back. So I read the first, not book, but I guess the first selection of this giant size issue from Dynamite of this anthology little series they got going on. And I just want to apologize, y'all. I packed up my tripod, so I'm holding my phone with my hand because I'm about to go to Malaysia in about 24 hours. So I'm happy about that. But anywho, let's talk about the story. So this is Captain Gulliver Jones, and he goes to Mars. So I guess he wished to go to Mars. He has some kind of genie-like thing or magical powers that he has where he can make wishes and they come true. So this anthology really doesn't go into detail of how he got his magical powers where he can wish something. It's kind of like a genie in a bottle type of deal where he just wishes things and it happens. So this story kind of reminds me of what's that called? John from Mars. It has the same vibe, and a combination of Gulliver's Travel, kind of just because of the name, But this was okay for the first story of this anthology. It was just nothing special, The storyline is a guy who goes to Mars. He wishes to go to Mars, and he gets involved with this alien princess. But he also gets involved in this war with this alien princess and this warlord. This warlord burns her city, and he didn't help her with the war. So 20 years later, he's reflecting on, what he could have done better to help this princess. So he goes back in time and tries to rectify, his situation. Goes back in time 20 years and he meets his younger self, and a lot of things go down. I don't want to spoil it for you guys, but it just has me wondering, does this have a butterfly effect going on? The story just, kind of ends abruptly. So I can't really give this a positive review because this first story was just so quick and big and by the numbers. So, but let's move on to the Red Sonja storyline. Let's see if this is any better. So the second story that we got is Red Sonja, and if you guys are familiar with Red Sonja, she's kind of like Conan the Barbarian, just a female version, and she's pretty much a badass. And in this anthology story right here, she's a badass. It starts out, Sonja's in a bar and she's talking to a merchant. She thinks he's a merchant, and he offers her some money, from the treasure that he has for safe passage to, another place in this fictionalized world. So she accepts his offer, and they ride out in the carriage. And as soon as they ride out, they get stopped by about maybe a platoon size of soldiers, and they want the guy that's in the carriage with Sonja, and Sonja is just trying to protect him, But later, they learn that, or Sonja learns that this guy is not who he is. He's pretty much a slaver type of guy who did some bad things, and then she finds out, man. She leaves him be, to this young lady who's another warrior, and she basically handles her business. So put it that way. But out of the two so far, this is a better story than the first one. So let's move on to the third one, and I'll be back. Now, this next story is probably the best, and this is about Alan Quartermain from the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. So in this story, there's two gentlemen on a ship. It's about, I'd say, maybe 1930, 1940s, and they talk about the war, World War One, and it trade stories, but they talk about this situation in Northern Africa where the squad was trying to hide out in some little, I'd say, village in Northern Africa, and they think they're safe, these German soldiers, but little do they know that Alan Quartermain is preventing them. They are invaders in his eyes, and he just lays waste to these guys in an epic fashion. Better than I thought. The story is very short, but it was nice and sweet and got to the point. By far, so far, I got one more story to go. This is the best one. I think I'm probably a little biased because, I love the movie, and I really didn't read the comics of League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, but I love the movie, so yeah, it might hinder my decision, but I don't know. This is the best, so I got one more short story to check out in this book, and I'll be back. All right, y'all. So let's talk about the last story in this giant size comic, and this is Vampirella. I've never read any of her comics, but I knew who she was, and if you guys are Vampirella fans, you'll enjoy this book because, yeah, her outfit doesn't disappoint in this book, if you guys know what I'm talking about. But yeah, so this story starts with a female cop in a bar, and she's looking for some help, and she hears about Vampirella, and she wants to enlist in her help because she had did a stakeout, and she had encountered some Russian mobsters, but these Russians have a vampire, on their payroll, so she needs Vampirella's help to fight this other vampire. So Vampirella decides to help her out. They go to this guy's lair, and they have an encounter, and Vampirella does what she does, but something happens to the cop, and I'll let you guys figure out yourself when you guys check out this book. But overall, I think the two best stories were Red Sonja. Actually, no, I liked 3 out of 4 stories. The first story about Captain Gulliver, that was just trash, but the rest of the stories were awesome, So I do recommend you guys pick up this giant size issue from Dynamite Comics. It costs about $5.99. I got it through with Kindle, but yeah, I do recommend this book. I'll give this book a 4.5 out of 5. It's not perfect, but it's pretty good. It exceeded my expectations, and I'm glad that I love the indie comics. I'm glad that I got to enjoy this indie comic, and I will continue to get indie comics because Marvel is trash nowadays. DC has gotten better with the Absolute line, so it's been improving. But yeah, that's all I got, y'all. Pick up this issue, and I'll see y'all next week. Peace.